Welcome back to the channel. In the previous videos, we have seen about how we can normalize the data so that we can use it for various applications so that it does not cause any issues while converting the data into other frames and analyzing them. So, if you have not yet watched that video and you would like to know how to convert it easily using a code in Matlab, you can watch the video link in the description. In the current video, we'll be discussing about how we can convert the daily data into monthly, yearly, and also weekly. Using data for various applications is quite common these days, and these data needs to be in certain type of temporal resolution when you are developing some kind of a model. So for various applications, for example, if we see a daily data is needed to understand how precipitation is varying, how discharge is varying, whereas weekly data is needed to understand how evapotranspiration or other parameters are changing. In the same way, monthly and yearly data also functions. But most of the time, you either have daily data, monthly data, and yearly data in a different websites or different sets of data. So, for suppose if you have a daily data and you want to analyze it for weekly, if it's a short length, you can use Microsoft Excel or any other tool to convert the data to weekly and do it. But if you have large data sets with large number of variables and large lengths, let's assume 20 variables or more than 20,000 length, for example, around 50 years of data, and you want to analyze the data, it is not easy to convert the daily data to weekly or monthly or so forth. So, in this video, I'm trying to show you how it can be done easily using tools in Matlab. So if we go to the code first, the main important code which is needed for conversion of daily data to monthly and yearly is downsample underscore ts. This is a code which is freely available in Matlab in MathWorks website, and that link I'll be providing in the description so that you can download it. So let's talk about the code and then go how we'll be able to convert the data. So if we see the code, as I mentioned, it is downsample tool. It has all the data, how it converts the downsample data to monthly and yearly. It also has given us various syntaxes. So if we go into the description, we can see that it is telling it converts the data based upon the dates. So if we see what are the various temporal scales it can convert the data into seconds, minutes, hours, day, month, and year. So in this analysis, we'll be doing monthly and yearly from this code. As you have seen, monthly is default. If you don't include which type of conversion you want, it directly takes monthly. So if we go there and we'll see for various kinds of data, you can do various kinds of analysis. For example, precipitation, you might need monthly mean precipitation or monthly sum. So it also has a sum function as well as a mean function. But in terms of temperature, if you see, we'll only talk about mean temperature for a month instead of sum of temperature. It doesn't make any sense to do temperature sum. So you can use wide range of default functions like median, what is the minimum value in the month, maximum, standard deviation, variance, and it also has other functions where it omits an AND value. Sometimes you don't have any value in the data set, it might be missing. That is assigned as NaN when you import the data to MATLAB. So it omits the data and does the mean, median, and so forth. So these are the temporal scales in which this code can work, and these are the kinds of functions it can work with. So this is the data in which we need to be to start our code. So you need to go to the path where the data or the code, this downsample TS code is present, and then start your analysis. So here I have already imported the data, which is the precipitation data and dates. So if you see, the dates are from 1 April 2015. So how do you convert or input this data? I have an Excel file where I have dates and various precipitation data and temperature and so forth. So what you can do is, in the home button, you go to the import, then it will ask you where the data is, then go to the position where the data is and you import it. While importing, you have to take few things into consideration, which I'll be showing you once this file opens. If the spreadsheet is big, it takes some time to import. So now if you see, I've imported the file, like I've opened the file, and here you can see the data. So let's first select only the date. So control shift and lower arrow key and everything is selected. So if you see here, there are various types of outputs which we can import. So in this case, we can choose, instead of table, we can choose column vector or numerical matrices. So let's say we press numerical matrix. Sorry, we should press column vector because it takes all the variables as vector parameters and then imports it into Matlab. So when we press this see, it has already imported the variable and has assigned the name date to. Why? Because I already have a date element. Then we can also import this parameter and press import and it says grid 1. So now we can close this and you see we already have, I'll delete the previous ones and we'll talk with the new ones. So dates are imported as matrices, assigned date and grid variable where the data is. So first we will change the name here to data and then we can leave it as date here instead of date 2. Yeah, if you see, this is the precipitation and this is the data. So let's start going to the code which I've prepared. So first we'll talk about the analysis we can do from daily to monthly and then we'll go to the weekly. So the first thing which we need to do is, if you have seen here, it is in the form of 1 April 2015 plus 2 April 2015 and so on. But MATLAB does not understand this April, May, June because it only takes numbers into account. So the first thing we need to do is converting the date to number. It's an inbuilt function in MATLAB which you can use to convert the date to number. So D is the variable which I want to save the date as, and date number is the function, and date 1, here it is date. If you see, it is date. So first thing I want to do is run this code. Evaluate selection, evaluate. So if you see here, all the dates are converted to numbers based upon the month and year. So it converts automatically behind it and gives us the result. So now the dates are all converted. If you see, all the dates and data are of the same length, that is the first thing we need to check. Then what is this line? See the for loop. In this example, we are talking only about one column, 2101 by 1. But if you have more columns, then you can press these two and press 2, 3, 4, and number of columns you have, so that all the columns are converted to monthly or yearly based upon your preference. So that's why this is put here. I is the number of variables as I mentioned. So now when we go here to this line, monthly, this is the name of the data which I want to save, and again why I have put this is to save n number of or I number of variables. So downsample underscore ts. As I have mentioned in my earlier videos also, you need to write the name in which the function is saved. Here, if you see again in the code, it is saved as downsample underscore ts. So that is the reason why we are writing downsample underscore ts. So what are the elements which we need to include in this? So the first thing is our data set. So what is the name of the data and what are the various columns which I want to analyze? So that will be the first element. What is the D here? D represents the date variable which we have converted it to numbers. This is the function. Here I am using precipitation for analysis. So I want to combine and get monthly precipitation, monthly sum of precipitation. If you can also change it to mean, you'll get different value, median different value, and so on. And as I mentioned, default it takes monthly, but for just for showing, we can write as monthly. So that is the first thing. So here we have shown what are the various conversions we can do and so on. So the next thing we want to do is convert our daily data to yearly. It's your preference. If you want only monthly, you can just skip this and directly run it and you'll get the result. But the same way, yearly data, if you want to save, everything remains the same because it already has all the numbers of months and years. So you just have to give yearly variable here and it saves everything. So let's run it and see how it works. So if you have seen, it has run successfully and we not get any errors. And here it has already saved monthly and yearly data. So monthly variables are 69. So how to know if we are having the correct months or not? Simple. We can go to the Excel sheet and here we see that we have started from April 2015. So can say here April and 2015. So what is the ending date that we are doing the analysis in this example? We see it's December 30, 2020. So it's December 2020. So what are the number of years we are crossing here? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 6 years. And what are the number of months? So let's remove 2015 in this equation for now. So let's see, we are starting from January 2016 to December 2020. So in 2016 we have 12 months, 17, 12, 18, 19, 20. So what is the sum? 60. And we also have remaining months here. April is 4 to 12. So we have 9 months here. Sorry, 4 to 12 of April to December. So we have 9 months. What is the overall thing? 69, that we know for sure. So when we go back and see here, we see 69 variables with data. And when we come to yearly, as we have seen earlier, we have these many years, 6. So when we check here the yearly data, you can see 6 variables with 6 years. So we can say for sure that it has converted all the months and datas yet has given us the results for conversion of daily to monthly and yearly. In a similar way, you can even put mean here instead of sum. Let's just remember the first variable here so that we can compare. 17.62, just remember that. And now when we run this again and when we open this monthly, see 0.575, that is the mean. The sum we have 17, so you can see it is working for a even sum and mean. So now we know how to convert it and we can use it. But if you want to convert daily data to weekly, how can we do that? So for that, again I've written a for loop, although you can omit it if you have only one variable, but if you have multiple you can put is 2 into n number of variables you want to analyze. So let's come to the second line. Here we are saying time series. So this is the name which I want the data to save. And if you see here, there is lot of code here involved. So now first we'll see what is pad array. When you are trying to convert any data, or let's say we have a is equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Let's say we have this. So now what you want to do is you want to add other variables here. So like you want to make a question on top of it with other something like that. Okay. So what can we do? There this pad array comes into action, and what we can do is we are saying we have a variable a. I want to one row with variables 5 on top of it. So all the variables should be 5. And where should I want it? Before that. So you can say pre. Before this variable, I want to have it as pre. So let's see. You see here, one variable is added on top of it with one row, all the elements being 5, 5, 5, 5. You can do the same thing for post. So I am saying after that variable, I want another thing. If you see, it is coming below. So that is what this pad array does. It pads other elements to the data which we are giving it. So that is the function this has. So what is the padding we want to do? So this is the input data again, not this. This is the input data, and let me just correct the code so that we don't have any issues. Yeah, this is the name of the input file which we have. And what are we seeing in this code? So this is the data I'm saying. As you see here, we have given this. Then we are saying it what padding I want to do. So if we see here CIL, what does this function do? It converts all the data to nearest integer. So let's see in the latest how it will function. And what is the other element? Numeral. It gives number of elements in the array. So if we see here, we have written this whole thing. So let's go by function and function. So if we see here, control C, control V here, you see it is showing the number of elements. As I've mentioned, shows the number of elements in an array. And then we are dividing it by 7. Why are we dividing this by 7? Because as we are converting the data to weekly, we want the whole variable to be divisible by 7, right? So if we divide it by 7, if you see, it is saying in the current data which we have given, there are 300.1429 weeks. But weeks do not work like that. We don't have decimals in our weeks. Either we have only integers. So what do we use then? As mentioned earlier, it rounds off to the near integer. So now we use CL here. So it's saying 301 weeks, but we actually have 300 only. So what we are trying to do here from this parity is, so after this we again get back to our original number by multiplying this, and then we subtract it using this. So this data gives you how many? This is the length it is saying it should be to have complete weeks. But what is the actual data we have? 2101. So what is this doing? We are subtracting 2107 minus 2101, and then we are saying what are the elements which we need to add to be able to get the correct result. So if we do the whole thing, you can see that it will say 6. So it's saying 6 elements are to be added after. If you remember, I have shown in the earlier example, post means after. So what will it do? In this data, it will add another 6 variables because we need to have a correct week to function. So if you don't want to add another random variable or zero variable, what you can do is you can try to make your data set in such a way by removing the excess days so that you have extra week. Sorry, correct week. So if you have weekly data, so let's assume we have 299 weeks only. So if we use 2093 data set instead of 2101, we will have correct things. So next, after we have got the excess variables and we'll get a length, what are we wanting it to say? So here we are doing the analysis for precipitation. So we can do sum of precipitation of a month. So how do you want to do it? So what we are trying to say to this is use a function called reshape. What does it do? It rearranges the array. So how do we want it to arrange? We already got the whole data length, which is of weekly length, kind of like the total length. Then we are saying add the first 7 variables, the next 7, the next 7, and so on, and save it in a matrix. That is what we are saying here. So what does it do? It converts all the data and saves it here. So let's see how this works. If you see here, many variables are saved here. As I told, time series, here we are adding 6 variables. So data is 2107 and 301 weeks. So 301 times 7, 2107, and this is weekly sum of the data which we have given. So these are all the weeks in the data from 2015 to 2020. Let's say if you don't want sum, you can also write mean. If you write mean, just evaluate it and you'll get mean data instead of sum. It's based upon your preference what you want to do. So this is how you can convert the data. If you have understood and you've liked the contents, you can give the video a like and you can share it with people whom you think it can be useful.